Let's go, girls. Welcome to Talk Wealthy to Me. I'm Michelle Taylor, founder of Women in Wealth. From breaking money myths to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, we're here to empower you to create your own path. Talk Wealthy. Now, join the conversation and let's change the way women think and feel about money. Okay, ready? Hi, everybody. I am so excited today because we are at the beautiful Mallard Hall, which is really the premier luxury destination in Kentucky. It's on the Bourbon Trail. So if you ladies like bourbon or have a husband that does, this is the place that you want to come and check out. And with me is the creator of this space, Annette Vitale.
Hi, Michelle.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and for letting us be in this beautiful space. So, okay. Can I tell you guys a funny story first? So, I'm a Florida girl, third generation, tried and true. And Annette was generous enough to have all of us have a slumber party here last night because we are doing a lot of great things here over the next couple of days. And it was chilly, you guys. And the fireplace was beautiful. In my Florida opinion, it was dwindling. So I didn't think anything of it. And there were some logs sitting next to it. So I've seen my husband do this. I put a log on the fire, didn't think anything of it. It was like spitting pieces of logs out at us a couple of times. So then Annette came over this morning and she was like, did you guys put a log on?
No, I saw ashes.
The gas, yes.
Down by the gas fire in the pieces of a log, a real log on a gas fireplace. And I said, did someone put a log on the fire? And Michelle looked.
Yes, I did.
And we just started cracking up because I'm like, who puts a log on a gas fireplace?
Well, somebody who's never had a fireplace in their house. And I mean, anytime there's a fireplace, I defer to my husband because he's from Connecticut, so he knows what to do. My word, I think Beckett, my son, even knows now because of bonfires and when we've traveled. But Jason, I know you're listening. Don't let me near a fireplace ever again.
It's all good. It was a great laugh.
And the house did not burn down.
No, it did not. It's still intact.
Well, okay, so while we're talking about this house, you guys are in for such a treat because I know so many people love real estate, are interested in real estate. And Annette, you have a great story. You came from corporate America and decided to walk away from all of that because of really sound decisions you'd made up to that point and focus on not only this estate and turning it into what it is today, but also just building out a real estate portfolio and having that support your family. So I would love for you to tell people about Mallard Hall and the story here and your story in general.
Okay. Well, yes, it goes back quite a few years. In the beginning, I was always interested in real estate. I went to school. I'm a clinical dietitian. I was in corporate America, was in medical nutrition sales for 27 years.
Wow.
And we adopted 2 children. And I was traveling all over the country, traveling so much. And I decided that's way too much. Mm-hmm. I want to be home with the kids. And we were in my wife is also in corporate America. And we said, somebody's got to make the decision to stay home. So we decided together that I was the best to do that. So home with the children, raising them. And in the meantime, investing in properties, small rental properties. I started purchasing. And the reason that began, and this goes back probably about 30 years. My father passed away from pancreatic cancer, and we were fortunate enough to be able to take care of him at home. And I was just having a conversation with them, and he was saying, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't really like this corporate life. I don't see that in my future, but I love properties and real estate. And he said, everyone has a dream. And he said, but it's only those that make the decision to purchase or take the step to do something about it are going to live their dream. So I listened to that, and I went back to Kentucky 2 days later and I put an offer on a property. And it was the worst decision I ever made in terms of the investment, but the best decision I ever made.
Because you learned so much from it, I'm
Learned
sure.
so much. And it was a money pit, but the knowledge that I gained and the confidence in making a decision to go ahead and move forward and do that was the first step. And
here we are.
And here we are.
So I know you design and oversee everything. Are you a general contractor?
I am not a licensed general contractor.
But you know enough to be dangerous?
Yes. But I think that's key, because on every property that I've purchased, I was instrumental on doing almost every aspect of the property. Whether it was even bringing in a contractor, I was right by their side to learn. So over the years, I developed the skills and the knowledge to be able to do a lot of it myself. And I have such a passion for renovation and design, and that I love to do it myself. So taking on, whether it's jacking up a house, I've done.
Oh my gosh.
To tile work. And then it's just creating that and standing back and saying, I did that.
Look at what I did.
Look at what I did. And then, as it moved on and we adopted children, it was more about bringing the children along and the family and teaching them. So the investments weren't just about making money. It was about, what can I teach my children?
Creating a legacy.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And so how many properties did you have before you tackled Mallard? Because Mallard Hall was your biggest undertaking, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I think I worked up to about 9 rental properties.
Okay.
And along that way, over the 10 or 15 years, I also flipped several houses as well.
Okay.
So joined different associations to learn the ins and outs of the finances, the CPAs, the real estate attorneys, working with to learn all the ins and outs of contracts and types of financing and things.
How did you decide which properties to flip and which to rent?
This is just my answer. The ones I really liked.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean,
you trusted your gut.
Yes.
It's the ones that you felt drawn to.
Yes. And that probably was one of the biggest learnings I've had throughout this whole experience. Trust my gut. Because several times I fell into that trap. No, they're saying I should do this. I'm going to do that. And then I'm like, why did I do that? I should have trusted myself. So building that confidence along the way, and especially as a woman in a contractor's world, it can be very challenging. So, having the background of growing up in a family, there were 5 kids, 4 girls, and 1 brother. And my father was a strict Italian father. And he was like, you girls can do anything. Don't let anybody tell you, and as a dietitian, to him, I was a doctor of nutrition. So everything was exaggerated and, so my parents gave us the confidence to be able to just tackle things, do it.
So you find Mallard Hall. Tell us that story.
Yes. So that's an interesting story. I live 5 minutes down the road from here. So I was constantly driving by the property, and it had been vacant for about 15 years.
Okay.
But it was this gorgeous old estate. I could tell it was historic. And over the years, it just was overgrown. And we were having a girls' weekend one weekend, my sisters and my friends. And I said, I have to show you this property. So we drove up, and there was a door ajar in the back. So we let ourselves in.
I love a rebel.
We let ourselves in. And it was so evident, the years of neglect that the property had. There were raccoons actually in the house. There were holes in the roof. There were birds in the house, but it was so evident that it had been just something special during its time. Yeah. And I could see the vision, and I wanted it so badly. But at that time, I couldn't afford it. So you fast forward 10 years, and I was driving by, and there was an open house tonight sign in the yard. And I pulled in, and there were many, many cars here. About 50 different people walking around, contractors with clipboards. And I was just in my baseball hat with my boots on. And they said, I said, so what's going on? And they were like, well, we're selling the property and we're going to sell it. The lady's going to make a decision, the owner, in 24 hours. And it's only cash offers. And I was like, oh, geez.
How do I do this?
Yes. How do I make that work? So I went home and had a decision and said, we don't have time to really think about this. And again, that's trusting the gut, but yet influencing others to buy
Trust
into
your gut?
trust. Yes. So long story short, we were able to make a cash offer on the property. And I also wrote the current owner a letter explaining what I wanted to do with the property, which was to renovate it to its current grandeur, back to its grandeur. And I said, the realtor called me the next day and she said, it's between you and another person. And I said, can I go look at the property one more time? It's a 200-year-old house. I want to go look at the foundation again. And I was standing there and the phone rang and she said, if you want it, it's yours. She chose you. And I was like, of course, tears of joy, but tears of, oh,
panic.
Now what? Yeah. Because it was such a project to take. I've never taken on anything so big before. So
yeah. And how many years did it take you?
3.5 years.
Okay.
And the more you dug into it, the more you found.
Of course.
Yes. So it was the unknowns that were the biggest challenges, but the greatest experiences too.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh. I know if any of you have ever renovated a house or done anything in this space, it's always double what you think it will be. I remember when I found our house, well, my husband actually found it and we went to go look at it and he said, I changed my mind. There's way too much work here. And I'm like, oh, babe, it's just baseboards. It's going to be fine.
Yeah, famous
and then
last
we
words.
move in and there's like mold and all of these things. And he's like cursing, not trusting his gut. But now we love it. And it's a good lesson to learn. Over prepare like you did. And so something that Annette said that I want to make sure we spend a minute on is for you had set yourself up through 30 years of good financial decisions to be able to purchase this property in cash, which if you had come in and needed financing, number one, to finance a property that needs work takes some creativity. But number two, it would have slowed you down and a cash offer always moves quick. But most importantly, I'd love for you to share why that was important to you to be able to pay for this in cash, because we hear a lot, guilty as charged, about how using other people's money to build wealth is like a cheat code. And everyone is entitled to feel differently. And I think that that's the beauty of being the architect of your own dream and financial journey.
Sure.
So for you, tell us how you approach that.
So I think from very early on, I always wanted to pay cash for things. I was taught that through my parents, and big fans of Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
So what we did is we saved. And we saved enough cash to be able to pay for the first small property that we bought, and then sold that and started investing that. So, and throughout that, I've had financial planners, I've had bankers come to me and say, well, if you borrow this money, you can save 2% here, or you could make this amount. But what they don't take into account is the emotional stress that it has on someone. And for me, when I think of debt, it bothers me. Like so I can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
So that was very important for me to be able to, and it gives you a sense of freedom when you don't owe somebody money.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of that freedom and building that over time and teaching my kids the value and
leading by example.
Sure. That we were able to focus on big projects that come up like this and make the cash offer. So there's definitely an emotional connection that I think a lot of people don't consider when they're taking on a loan. And it may work for some people, but for me,
it didn't.
It didn't.
Well, and I love that you're saying that. And something that I think is so important is just because I believe something, I'm not doing someone a service if I'm forcing them to try and fit into the mold that I think works. And the reality is, if you are not comfortable, and it doesn't even have to be debt, it can be anything. If you're
Sure.
not comfortable with the path to the end result, it's never going to feel good. It's going to add stress. You're not going to do it. And you're going to end up resenting the person that's trying to force a square peg into a circle hole. So I think it's so beautiful that you stayed true to your convictions. You set yourself up for success, and building wealth within real estate, because of how that can happen. You don't have to, you really only have to save for that first property if you do it right. So I don't want anyone listening thinking, well, oh, great. If I wanted to do that, I have to save $1 million to do what you've done.
No, it was $25,000.
Yeah. But then because the property appreciates and then you sell
Sure.
it and then you buy a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and it takes a little bit of time,
Sure.
but it lets you sleep at night,
Yes.
like you said.
Yes. Yes. And the grass is always greener when everything's paid for, to me.
Yep. And that is
it just feels different.
Yep. And did that come from you growing up? I know Dave Ramsey, your like his teachings,
Yes.
which are very much anti-credit, debt. But I'm assuming you came into Dave Ramsey's teachings later in life. So
Sure.
did you befuddle your way there, or were you taught that from the very beginning?
Befuddled.
Yeah.
I befuddled because I made the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing my personality, credit wasn't working. I would miss a payment. I would be late. And I said, I can't do that. I'm not in control of my own finances.
Well, and you don't understand the impact. And I've been very transparent about my struggle being younger with credit card debt, trying to fill that cup.
Sure.
And, signing up for a credit card on the corner of my college campus because
That's what I did.
I got a free t-shirt.
Yes.
And it doesn't
Yes.
feel like real money. And that girl, she learned her lesson, let's just say within a year or two. But I paid for those bad choices for a decade.
Yes.
Because of credit ratings or whatever. So I think it's
Yes.
important that you've got to get it right and have the conversations and find what works for you. And it does come down to your personality. If you got the discipline.
Yes. So
Some people
realizing
do.
that in myself, I'm like, you know what? I'm just
gonna
need
go this route.
Yeah, I need to avoid this and go a different route. And I will tell you though, the people that give you financial advice, it's a wide array,
Mhm.
and it's abnormal. It is abnormal to pay with cash for things in society. So
It's happening less and less. Yeah.
so I'm trying to teach my kids that too, because there's something liberating about it.
I agree.
When you don't owe people.
Well, yeah. And even it's going back to that cash conversation. My kiddos, if you open up a bank account now with Chase is who we bank
Yes.
with, they get their first little debit card. Well, of course, my son thinks it's the coolest thing in the world. And there's all kinds of limits you can put on it.
Sure.
And it actually is really cool if any of you have
Yes.
kiddos
Yes.
that you want to do this for. And you can pay them their allowance on their debit card. And there's a part of me that's like, but I want to give you the $5
Yes.
for doing
Yes.
something and have you put it in your piggy bank. So
No, I'm with you. So that's what I do. I said, you have to earn it, because they're like, oh, my allowance. I go, no, you don't get an allowance. You earn your money, bring some value to the family above what you're supposed to do, and then you'll get $10. And then what are you going to do with that $10? You're going to give some to charity. You're going to save some, and you're going to spend some.
Have you read, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but Claudio has a book that he read about kids, and the best thing that we can do for the young people in our life isn't to give them an allowance for being part of the family. It's more about no, you contribute, you put the dishes away because you're part of the family. If you want to bring value to our family, here's this list of things. And if you want $10, go look at the list.
Yes,
and
exactly. We have a list on our fridge.
Have you read that book?
No.
I'll ask Claudia what the name of the book is.
Okay.
Because it's awesome.
No, I think that's fabulous. I love it.
Teach them to add value.
Yeah. And then I look at the list and nothing's checked off. But can I have $5? I'm like,
get to work.
Right.
So you have introduced your kids to kind of what this all looks like. Are they interested? Do you see it in either one of them? I mean, I know it's hard when they're young, but Or are they like, fine, mom, I'll
Yeah,
help?
I think when they were younger, so they're 17 and 12 now, and when they were younger, I think I could manipulate them better
Mhm.
into coming and
Mhm.
making sanding the drywall fun, and um, like that fireplace. My son and I built that fireplace. We
Wow.
did the stone. We put the beam on there. Um, but now they're kind of like, oh, do we have to go over there? But I'm so proud of them because when we have events here, they are my biggest ambassadors. And they are so proud. And they share, I hear them. We did, my mom and I did this. And did you see what she did there? And
Well, I have been lucky enough. That's how we initially met, is at an event that was hosted
yes,
here.
yes,
And I get to meet both of them. And that
yes,
was the exact experience that we had. They were so proud and very meticulous in going around and like picking up cups and
yeah,
telling the story. And so again, it's creating that legacy for them that's teaching them not only about money and how to do this the way that you did it, but also about real estate and building something bigger,
yeah,
which I think is
yeah.
amazing.
And they're like, Mom, are we going to do another project? I'm like, well, we sure are.
We sure are. Well, and so how do you like what are you looking for when you're going out and even going back to like if someone's listening and they think, "I'd love to do that." I've told you if I
yeah,
had to pick another
yeah,
profession, I'd want to be
yeah.
you. What are you looking for somebody that's new to this?
So it's kind of changed. So right now, I would love to do another big property like this. So I've been looking for an old horse farm that I could renovate, the hidden gem
Oh yeah.
that you could renovate and bring back to its glory and make it something special. And but just last week, I came across somebody who wants to sell a little property in downtown Louisville.
Hmm.
And I said, I'll go look at it. And so I made a cash offer on it. And it's just a little camelback, but it's a perfect property that has so much
Potential.
potential and value. And so I would do what you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
like start
Start where you
small,
can.
start small, um, and take the risk. Take the risk.
Now, how hard is it to get the family behind another big project? Because I'm assuming
Yeah,
you'd
that's
have to get
it's
the kids back to making sanding fun.
yes,
And
right.
having a spouse that what I know of you guys, she's very supportive of it, but
Sure,
this isn't necessarily her passion, it's yours.
sure.
So this took 3 years. How excited are they to do this again?
Yes. Well, it's 3 years on the renovation. So that doesn't include, so it's 2 years on the sales and marketing of the property that
Oh,
I'm going
yeah.
through now and just trying to get the exposure for the property to be rented, the luxury rental part of it. We're hosting different events here. So it was a total paradigm shift in renovation work to back in the corporate world, kind of,
That's a
right?
good point.
Right. Talking to selling it, right? I had to go out there again and sell and market and get the exposure to be able to reach the right guests and clients that would come and stay in this
But
place.
you're doing a great job at that. I mean, I think it takes time, obviously, to get people to look over here at this amazing thing I've done. But your passion for it is contagious. And I think that when you're talking about a 200-year-old property that now is modern, but still gives you that feel of I'm somewhere special, you don't see that all the time. And I know for me in this world where we're having events and corporate retreats and you've got musicians coming out that are going to
Sure.
perform, it's something special that I feel like the pendulum has kind of swung where people want those small, intimate, meaningful experiences again.
Hmm.
So it's the perfect
Yeah.
timing for you.
Well, yes, I agree. And I think it's going to be very special. We're doing an intimate concert series with Grammy Award winning artists out here. So, where it's more of a luxury experience where we have valet parking. You come in, you have hors d'oeuvres, signature cocktails. You get to meet and greet after the concert, to get photos with the
It's
artist.
incredible.
Yeah. So, and it's limited, it's intimate. So, it's limited to less than 200 people. So, um, that's something that I
Special.
negotiated those contracts on my own. So this again is
You are such a good example of figuring it out and then going as far as you can and then bringing somebody else in to help?
Well, I need to do better at that. But right now I'm in the process of building a team to help because there's so many different aspects that I didn't even consider. The social media part, the marketing part, the
PR,
PR. Yeah. So this is one thing that has been challenging, but I'm learning to get the right team around you because I need to be able to step away. I can't do it all. So
it's
that's
a
what
work
I'm
in
doing.
progress.
Yes, it is. Yes,
So
it is.
how do you feel your good money choices for someone that's out there listening that this is resonating with them? If you look back to the Annette that was 25 or even 12, what would you tell that version of yourself? Is there something else that you know about money that has made a difference other than, obviously, we know how you feel about debt, but besides that,
Yeah.
to be good stewards of money, to grow wealth and the life that you envision for yourself?
I don't know if this directly answers your questions, but the thought to growing up, when I thought about money and hearing other people talk about money, there could be a negative connotation to having a lot of money. Um, and what wealthy people are like. What is that millionaire? You know, they're just selfish. The millionaires, aren't they lucky? Oh, that's nice. Must be nice to do that. But when I think about money, it's about the freedom it gives me, the freedom it allows me and my family to have those experiences, the freedom it gives me to help an aging parent that I don't want to put in a nursing home, to make those decisions, to help family and friends. So it's more about, not about what you get, it's about how it can accentuate your life and bring all those values, make
How it allows you to give.
Yes. Yes.
And you know what's so funny, going back again to Claudio, since you know him well as well, something he once told me when I first started in this industry, because so many people say what you just said. With money, when you don't have it, there's a negative connotation with it. And I think that if we remember that money does not change people, it magnifies who they are. That is so
That's
powerful because it's true.
Yes.
If you are
Agreed.
not a good
Yes.
person with money, it's not going to
Yes.
make you good.
Yeah.
But good people with money do good things with it. And I think that is such a empowering thing for women to focus on. How can I gather these tools and resources to go out and do good for others? And it just changes the narrative of what you're chasing.
Sure. No, I agree.
Well, I know that I mentioned it in the beginning, but if I can just say one more time, I mean, this is truly something special. I would encourage all of you you're welcome, to look at this property and learn about the history of it. I know that the history is on your webpage, but if you're looking to host a corporate event or a girls' weekend or the Derby, right? We didn't talk about that. This place
Absolutely.
it finds a way into your bones. So for people that want to learn more about the property and follow along, because there will be more projects like Mallard Hall down the road, where
Certainly.
can they find you?
So you can go to my website, mallardhallky.com.
Okay.
And you can follow along. You can see availability for rental. We are now hosting weddings as well. So
That's
we're
exciting.
currently developing a whole wedding page with wedding packages, and all of anything that we're hosting here at Mallard Hall Estate is very curated. So we offer concierge services, from an executive chef to VIP transportations to spa. So we can create a truly customized experience for you here at Mallard Hall. You can follow along on the renovations page to see some of the projects that we went through in renovating the home, and some of the old pictures from when we first bought it to each room and what it's turned into. So we're exciting. We're still in the works and developing it, but there's a lot of information on there. And you can also subscribe to the website and follow along. So when we have concerts and other events, you'll be the first to get information on that.
And Instagram. You are on Instagram.
We are on Instagram and Facebook as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and sharing the journey of this place and also your journey in real estate. So many people love this topic. And I think what you've done is it was complicated, but also very simple. Real
Thank
estate,
you.
like I've shared so many times, always wins if you've got patience and you build out the right team. And I think you're a perfect example for that.
Well, thank you.
It is always a pleasure. You're welcome
Oh,
to
it's a
spend
pleasure
time
to
with
speak with
you.
you. Thank you.
And as always, for you guys, if you need any resources that you feel are missing, always send a message, drop a DM. The team would love to make sure that these questions are answered in future podcasts with guests or topics. And always like, share, subscribe, and let's change the way women think and feel about money together.